Hey guys, welcome to Precious Cargo. I'm Precious, and today we have co author of An Angel Told Me So and spiritual teacher Michael McAdams. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Precious. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Fine. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for reaching out. I grabbed a copy of An Angel Told Me So, and this work is incredible. Please, please, please let everyone know how you decided to write this.
Well, thank you for saying so. I appreciate that. I am really just the messenger.
Mm.
The messages and teachings that were dictated word for word directly from spirit teachers from the other side were dictated through my mother, Wilma Jean Jones, her pictures on the front cover. And I had been brought up with a foundation of faith, church based, Bible based, Pentecostal. Are you familiar with Pentecostal?
I am. I'm Baptist, but yes.
All right, church based, Bible based,
Mhm.
pretty strict, literal interpretation of
Mhm.
the Bible. But even when I was young, I had questions. I had questions about the material, and those with the foundation of faith, they really have an advantage because they're already reaching out to the spiritual realm in prayer. And they will reach out to God or they'll reach out to angels. And in a church-based, Bible-based foundation, we're led and told about angels, archangels, guardian
Mhm.
angels. People who are more spiritual in nature, they read and learn about spirit guides, spirit teachers, master teachers. Spirit guides, spirit teachers are the same thing as angels, just viewed from a different perspective. One religious, one spiritual. And we're all spoken to. We're all given advice, guidance, direction, support. I'd slow down up ahead if I were you. I wouldn't buy that car if I were you. Where does that come from?
Right.
You're not really thinking about anything, got the radio turned off, hopefully, riding in the car. And a lot of people, they're just so distracted with information. They get in the car and the first thing they do is turn the radio on.
Mm.
Or the first thing they do when they come in is they turn the TV on or they go to the computer. And you don't really need to sit down and go into deep meditation with your legs crossed and incense burning, but you need to be open to this voice, not really a voice so much that it'll come into your mind in thought that will reach into your mind and offer guidance, direction, and support.
Yeah, I love that. So, do you think that people are chosen to be channels or chosen to be prophets, or do you think that everyone has it in them and it's just based on the willingness of the individual?
Everyone has it within themselves
Mhm.
to receive. We're all spoken to. And it's really just the choice of the person themselves. Life can be distracting, and we all deal with issues and situations that sometimes we wish we didn't have to deal with. But this information is available, and we are born with the ability to communicate with the spiritual realm. Now, we exist on this physical plane, which is almost incomprehensibly vast. We're out here on the outer edge of the Milky Way galaxy. That's our home galaxy. We're the third rock from the sun. I always like that show. Third rock from the And the Milky Way galaxy is 2,000 light years across. That's 186,000 miles a second times 2,000 years. It's 1,000 light years thick. And the next closest galaxy to our galaxy is Andromeda, and that is 30 light years away. And within the Milky Way galaxy, there are billions of potential planets with societies and civilizations. We just happen to be out here on in the low rent district of the universe, I like to call it. And Earth could be a punishment planet. We don't really know. We don't really know. I mean, look at the situations and lives that people are dealing with just on this planet. But we have that ability to communicate with the spiritual realm, which exists on the other side of this physical plane. And we are separated from that spiritual realm by a veil, a vibration, a frequency. We don't really know what the medium is that separates us from this spiritual realm. But for Christians, for people with the foundation of faith, the spiritual realm would be considered heaven.
Mm.
But for many, for spiritual people, I believe personally that the spiritual realm is much more than just a place called heaven.
Hmm. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with that. The modality that I use whenever I receive messages is the Akashic records. I'm a very structured person, and it doesn't always come just whenever I want it to, right? But it does help me whenever I was deciding where I wanted to go into for my spiritual practice and for my spiritual career, essentially. I needed a way to, I guess, I don't want to say control, but know when the channel was open and when the channel was shut. I initially thought I wanted to go into mediumship. That was not for me. That was that was definitely not for me. My family, I don't know if you know anything about me or not, but my family, I come from a long line of intuitives. I have a slavery ancestry, and so we're very connected with the land. We're very connected with extreme guidance. And sometimes it becomes overwhelming when the information flows in. And so that's why how I stumbled upon the Akashic Records, looking for a way to channel it and kind of not be overcome by everything at one time happening. So for the people listening, how do you have conversations with those who are strictly like, no, I'm only listening to what the Bible tells me, or no, I'm only listening to what my spirit teacher tells me? Like, how do we? I live in the Bible Belt. I live in Tennessee, so I encounter a lot of people who don't get it or don't necessarily want to get it and can't comprehend that when you said that spirit teachers and angels were all the same type of being. How do we bridge that gap so that people can understand, like, no, like these are the same things, just different words for the same thing?
Well, a number of people, conversations that I've had with some people, especially deeply religious people, when you talk about spirit teachers, they immediately say, whoa, no, I don't want to talk to spirits. I don't want anything to do with spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And I correct them and I said, no, we're not talking about spirits, not talking about phantoms, anything that, might be considered a negative
Right.
entity. These are God's direct representatives. Spirit teachers are God's direct representatives. Again, the same thing as angels. And these spirit teachers, in these messages and teachings that Wilma Jean received, they repeatedly refer to themselves in first person.
Mm-hmm.
You probably saw that. We
Mm-hmm.
feel, we believe, we
Mm-hmm.
advise. Our view encompasses more than your view can comprehend.
Mm-hmm.
One line in a message said, we hear the spirit cries above the words you speak. Who talks like that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't talk like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a first person conversation from these spirit teachers. And when Wilma Jean was led to sit down and receive, and again, we're all capable of
Mm-hmm.
doing this, she had received in thought before. She had, as a matter of fact, had been receiving these messages for a few years, and she was working around the kitchen one day. And these words started to come into her mind in thought, which is the way most all of us are going to receive. And she knew it was incoming. She picked up pen and paper. She had
Mm-hmm.
beautiful handwriting. And she received this message that she felt was confirmation. She should put these messages and teachings in a book.
Mm.
May I share this message with you and your audience?
Absolutely.
So this is what she received. Emptiness is part of fulfillment. Let your resources fill the void left so that distinction of your purpose can be found. Expression is always self-explanatory. Therefore, look inside and anchor all your beliefs beside those still waters that will take away your troubled view and renew your strength to recapture that which was lost, but is now found to be adequate to pursue the course set before you. And as you reconcile your being to represent those qualities that have been left intact, God will see to it that although circumstances have been trying, to say the least, your weariness will disappear as clouds once removed allow the sun to shine to dispel the gloom and darkness that has pervaded your countenance. And as once described before, a token of this presence will be deposited to your account and books recorded in his name.
Mm. Wow.
And these messages and teachings were extremely personal sometimes.
Hmm.
When she was led to sit down in a session, she would receive a message addressed to her from her spirit teachers. And then she would receive a message addressed to me from my spirit teachers. And they had a different tone. They
Right.
had a different feel to the message itself because her teachers and my teachers were different beings.
Hmm.
But we each have our own. We are born with the ability to communicate with this spiritual realm. It's a two-way communication. People, again, with a foundation of faith are already reaching out in prayer to the
Hmm.
spiritual realm. But then you relax your mind and you expect a reply,
Right.
and it is given.
I think that that's where a lot of the disconnect can be too. A lot of people are just praying, 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 but no one is taking the time to sit in stillness and receive the information. I can't remember if it was in this book or if it was in something else I was reading that said if prayer is speaking to God, then meditation is listening to God. And I that was literally perfect. I feel like a lot of times, especially deeply religious people, shy away from meditation because they don't understand it in a way. Or, I record meditations for a meditation app and they'll be like, "Oh no, I can't listen to meditations. Like it's against my faith." And I'm just like, "No, like you can't just ask for what you want. You also have to like you can't say, God's will is what I want if you're not willing to sit and hear what the will is." So, and
That's true. And then again, people, you don't really need to go into deep meditation. You don't
mhm,
need to light a candle and sit cross-legged in front of a mirror. If you can just quiet your mind,
mhm,
that's really all you need to do is just quiet your mind. You don't have to think about nothing, but
mhm,
you just want to quiet your mind and then let whatever is going to come through. Now, some people, I've been asked, they say, well, how do you make sure that you don't get any negative thoughts, any negative energy, negative entities that might be wanting to speak you, tempt you, um, that sort of thing? And I have told people that affirmations, for me, one of the best ways to protect your mind and your thought system, and that we each have our own personal thought system, like a little mini solar system swirling around in our mind, is to either create or say or learn a number of affirmations that will protect your mind.
mm,
And an affirmation that was given to me years ago, so long ago, I don't remember when I didn't have it. And this is what was given to me. It said, let no thoughts, ideas, or information be made known to my mind that does not come from God or his direct representatives.
oh, I
That
love
is
that.
your filter. That is your aura of protection.
I love that.
You can say that as many times as you want. And then you have confidence that nothing that will be made known to your mind that is not positive in nature and is not coming from God or his direct representatives.
Mm. I do love that in the beginning of the book, it was even before the introduction, that um, Wilma Jean placed such a heavy emphasis on protection. And she had a ritual. Each time that she decided to sit down or she was led to sit down, she had a full ritual. She had her candle. She did her full prayer prior to. Like, and I really resonate with that. I have a full ritual every time I do a session. Immediately, I do have my little white candle, so I do light my white candle, but it just lets me know that I'm in my safe space. I do a full grounding prior to, and then a shield of light protection as well. And I also have this little obsidian dagger that I've started keeping with me
It's
for.
really neat.
It's beautiful, actually. I think it was hand carved in Mexico
Wow.
because I do a lot of past life readings and sometimes you just don't really know, what's going to come up. So I just like to be as protected as possible. But I do appreciate the emphasis of the protection because a lot of the times people can be a little timid or a little scared or a little fearful of what could come up. And I think that fear also attracts more of it too. So just knowing that you're protected and having your affirmation statements is very beneficial.
And you are opening your mind.
Hmm.
You're opening your mind, so you want to establish that filter, that aura of
Yeah.
protection. And if for some reason you still have something negative, like a negative thought or a negative anything negative that would slip through, and you recognize that and you say, wait a minute, that's not my thought. That's not something that I would think. And I reject that.
Mm.
And you can surround that with some kind of a case and just discard it out into the universe because it's not a thought that needs to affect your thought system.
Right.
You control your thought system.
Right.
Now, the other thing that we have is a pesky little gift called free will. And we can think anything that we want. We can think and do anything that we want, even against advice from our spirit teachers or, again, angels, if that's your perspective. So it takes discipline. It takes discipline and recognition of incoming information and information that's being shared for your benefit.
So speaking of rejecting, I notice when I'm in conversations with people now that I will, if someone tries to project their negative thought forms onto me, I will literally just say, I reject that. Or if they try to like say shame on something or whatever, I always say, nope, I reject that. So it doesn't even just have to be something that you do before you receive information. You can literally do this in your daily life, which I love, which is another thing that I loved about the information that was received in the book. I receive information in a very, very similar way, almost down to a T with the way that it was written. I always date everything at the top right corner. And if it doesn't have my name to begin, it'll have something like my precious one or something. And the way that they speak or communicate is very, I don't want to say archaic, but it is very structured in like a higher formatted type of way. Like they'll use words that I'm unfamiliar with and I'll have to look it up, just like your mom said that she had to do for numerous things. Like half the times I have no idea what they're even talking about until I go back and reread it. So it's truly incredible. And even down to like the signature and the way that it's written, it's literally like a letter. It's like a love letter from above, literally every single time. And after reading after reading the book, I actually went back through my journals and started rereading things, and I was like, wow, that is still applicable today. It's like I love that the way that the information is given. It's almost like the prophets in the Bible, when they were given their information, it wasn't just for them in that time. It literally still translates to this day, which I found as confirmation for myself, truly.
That's true. That's true. And people, they don't realize how much help that they really have.
Mm.
Again, we've come this far. The path that we walk is based on the choices and decisions that we've made. And what you're doing, and you are really connected. You really are connected to this material. What you do and what I am doing is really just shining a light on a path.
Mm.
It's like we have a flashlight with this material, and you're just shining a light on the path for people who have wandered off the path, gone off on a tangent, and then they look around and they say, "Well, this is not where I want to be. I should have made better decisions, but now I'm over here." And you can share this information and bring them back to the path that they should be on, and hopefully they'll make better decisions as they make their way in this journey that we call life.
Hmm. I love that. And were you wanting to share some excerpts from the book?
I on my website is spiritspeaks.com, and at the top left of the website there's tabs at the top: bio for me, bio for my mother, and there is a tab for a television interview that my mother gave in Cincinnati. Did you get a chance to see that?
It would not load on my computer. I think something's wrong with my Google Chrome, honestly.
Try a different browser. But on the website, spiritspeaks.com, if you go to her television interview, you can click on that, scroll down. She's the pretty lady in white on the left. You can watch her interview. And posted on her interview, I added a message from volume 2 of the book, which is not out yet. And this message, this was the only time in a session where she was led to sit down and receive. Two different spirit teachers moved in the same session,
Mm.
gave two different messages, and signed two different names. And it was obvious that the second teacher was a different teacher than the first because the whole cadence and phrasing of the message is different. And this first teacher's message was really little more than a long paragraph. May I share this with you and your audience?
Yes, absolutely.
So this was the first teacher's message. There is a resurrection period through which man must travel in order to come into the realm of things godlike. You are to consume and digest all that is given here, as this comes from one highly qualified to meet the needs of this generation. You are not the sole property of yourselves. God still holds the everlasting command over your being, and in him must one take refuge. You are to be considered as one who has been stripped of all belongings and left to die by the wayside. In this manner, are you then open to any help that would be forthcoming? You are by your very nature ones who would depend on your own intellect to carry you through. However, by giving of your soul into the hands of God, do you prosper and develop more freely into that which denies the outcome of some situations, knowing full well that it is the hand of God leading and directing you so that you may arise victorious in the end. There is never a time when you will be without the Father, nor his ever-loving approaches to see that you follow the path that directs you homeward. Take note that we say homeward, as your heavenly Father so resides in that vast insurmountable environment of time and space, so shall ye abide in joint communication with him by the grace with which he covers you and by your ability to accept this grace and use it for your own development. There are others here who wish to make themselves known to you, so I will step aside for this time. My love and devotion follows you as you trod onward but ever faithful to your goal.
Wow.
That message was signed, your loving guide. Now, that next to the last line is the line that made me sit up and take notice.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, there are others here who wish to make themselves known to you.
Wow.
My question is, who are the others and where is here? What do you mean
Mm.
there are others here? Where are you in relation to us on this physical plane?
Mm. So I personally exist, we all do, right? Exist on different planes simultaneously. Um I have noticed the more open I become, the more aware I become, that I kind of never really know which plane I'm vibrating on at the current moment. And so like I have recently started like seeing things that like other people don't see. And another reason why I didn't want to go into mediumship and, experiencing things that I don't know if other people are experiencing or not, or hearing or not. So it's really interesting because when we ask where's here, what realm are we on, I sometimes will wake up and have to ask what realm I'm on and what information, am I going to encounter today. Because, when you're on a higher realm, or you're at a higher level of consciousness or a different dimension, you're opening to a wider range of individuals or souls or spirits. And you don't want to look crazy out here talking to whomever. So like if I hear something, I'll just look around to see if other people will hear it or if they've heard the same thing or not, and then I'll know if that's directly to me or if that's something also going on. I literally keep a notebook and pen with me 24/7 just because the information and the energy just flows so openly and so directly now. It's kind of wild. So yeah, even before we met today, I was in the kitchen and I was just like, where am I at right now? Because I don't feel like I'm on the third dimension. So, okay, we'll just take note of everything that's happening.
And the spiritual realm itself is, again, a possible dimension, a vibration, and it's adjacent to this physical plane.
Mhm.
People with the foundation of faith, they believe that heaven is up there, somewhere up there, and hell is down there. And in reality, the spiritual realm is adjacent, right next to this physical plane.
Mm.
And when I tell people, I said, there is no death. We never really die.
Mm-hmm.
It's just graduation.
Yes.
We ride around in these bodies the way we ride around in our cars. These bodies are just a vehicle
Yeah.
to negotiate this physical plane.
Yeah.
And when your body wears out, either from old age or if you're taken younger in an accident or for health reasons, you simply vacate this physical vessel, and your spiritual self, your spirit entity, will then cross over. And you go to an evaluation center. You get to look back on your life and see how you lived it, what you did right, what you did wrong, what you could have done better, how you treated people. And then is it possible that we're reassigned
Mm.
to another set of parents in a different social station for whatever it is that we're supposed to learn in this lifetime?
Right. I love that. I am a firm believer in multiple lives. Past lives is my specialty through the Akashic records. And I believe, that all the gifts and the lessons, like, you're not just here to like break cycles and break change. You're also here to remember your gifts and remember your lessons and remember, who you actually are, not who society or the world tells you that you are. And, you know, I I'm my background is in science. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. So of course your soul, never your spirit, never dies. There is no true death per se, because that wouldn't make any sense, because how can something that's infinite be destroyed?
That's true. That's true. And if you live enough lifetimes, and we're talking about reincarnation,
Mhm.
if you live enough lifetimes and you continue to be a bad soul, continue to be selfish and self-destructive, there's an outstanding movie. Have you ever seen the movie called Defending Your Life?
No, I'm writing this down.
This is two. I actually recommend three movies that I
Okay.
tell people will open portals in your mind.
Ooh.
And the first one, it'll give you a perspective on existence. The first one is called Defending Your Life, and that has Albert Brooks and Meryl Streep in it. There may be other movies with these same names, so you want to make sure you get them with these people. So Defending Your Life is the first one. The second one is called Always, and that has Richard Dreyfuss and Holly Hunter in it. And the third one is called The Last Mimsy, Mimzy. All three are intense.
I'm
All
looking
three
forward
at
to
the
it.
end, you're going to want to have a tissue handy.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They're all three those type of movies. And I'll
Okay.
actually share one more that I found by accident. Have you ever seen a movie called Risen?
No.
Risen. It's more of a foundation of faith movie. It's a story of this Roman tribune, serious Roman soldier, who, when Jesus was crucified, Pilate tasked this Roman soldier to find the body that was missing from the tomb. And even the Sanhedrin, the priests from the temple, had come to Pilate and said, something has to be done here. His followers are claimed he arose in 3 days, which he said he would, when in actuality, we believe that his followers broke into the tomb and stole the body. So
Mm.
this Roman tribune was tasked to find the body. That's all I'll give away. And it's really well done, really well done.
So, I did want to ask you, I know that your mom went to the Holy Land. Did you ever get a chance to go?
I never have. I would
Okay.
like to. It's a little dangerous over there right now,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
but I would really like to. And there is a book. Are you familiar with the Urantia book?
Mm-mm.
The Urantia book is an amazing body of material. It's a link. If you go to the Great Links page on my website, spiritspeaks.com, I have a link to two books that I recommend. I suggest mine first. An angel told me so. But the Urantia book is sponsored by a foundation out of Chicago. Urantia is their name for the earth. So it's
Ooh.
really the earth book. Sponsored by this foundation, the book has been translated into 16 languages, over 4 million copies in print.
Wow.
It was transmitted through an individual in 1935. The book was first published in 1955. And there's only 4 parts to the book. But the fourth part is a 650-page section on the life and teachings of Jesus that sounds like they were standing beside him with a microphone for 33 years.
Wow.
I mean, the detail is amazing. And
Wow.
it agrees with the Bible about 98%. You know,
Mhm.
little twists on stories and stuff, but not enough to get your pants in a bunch.
Right.
And it's just an amazing. It talks about who Jesus was before he came to the earth as Jesus. I mean, even Gabriel said when was talking to Mary about how she would bear a child of promise, and Gabriel said his name would be Jesus. Gabriel didn't say his name was Jesus. His
Mm.
name would be Jesus. And the Urantia book says that there were three sets of parents that were considered to be Jesus's earth parents. And based upon lineage, personality, profession, the area that they lived in the Middle East there where Jesus was born, that they had decided that Joseph and Mary would be the best chance that Jesus would have for the experiences, the location, the interaction to complete his life mission. And it talks about a number of things that were decided that he would accomplish in his life mission as he came to the earth and incarnated into the body of the baby born to Joseph and Mary. And one of the tasks that he was assigned himself to was the termination of the Lucifer rebellion.
Mm.
Termination of the Lucifer rebellion. And, people continue, thoughts are things. You know that thoughts are things.
Mm-hmm.
And when you create a thought that gives credence and personification to Lucifer or Satan or the devil, you're creating that in your mind, in your thought system. And when Jesus went up to the mount for 40 days and rejected the temptations from Lucifer, upon that time when he came down from that mountain, Lucifer had been defeated. Now, to me, defeated means defeated. Why do people continue, especially those who read the Bible, why do people continue to believe that Lucifer or Satan or the devil are constantly tempting you? And it's this battle. You don your armor every day to battle Lucifer or Satan or the devil, when one of Jesus's tasks upon this planet was to defeat Lucifer and end the Lucifer rebellion. But Christians, because they're confined, that was a word
Mm.
that came out in a previous interview for me.
Mm.
They this one host, they asked about fear. Is people, are they fearful, and does religion keep them fearful of the good and the bad? Well, what if you're wrong? I don't want to go to hell because you might be
Mm-hmm.
wrong. And it's like religion, as good as it does, for all the good that it does, it's confining
Mm-hmm.
in keeping you in these parameters of a belief system that doesn't allow your mind to open up to the spiritual realm.
Yes.
And even the way Jesus
Yes.
taught,
Yes.
he taught based on people who had been subjects. Even the term kingdom of heaven, these were people that had been subjects to kings and rulers and pharaohs
Mm.
and Rome, and then eventually Rome. And they had been subject of all these kings and conquerors.
Yes, that's 100%. Um, and I personally feel as if like the confinement is more of like a control tactic um, for a certain collective. And so, yeah, that's 100% how I think that a lot of people now are awakening and becoming more aware, which is beautiful. And I think that that's why we essentially have people like us and teachers and spiritual realm teachers and people who can are more open to access to be able to have these conversations with people and like I guess break them out of whatever constrictions that they could possibly be in and let them know like hey, you're here for a reason, this is your purpose, like let's do this together. We don't have to keep this separation, we don't have to keep this fear, we don't have to live on these lower vibrational planes, we can ascend, we can experience these things. There's no, I don't think that any of us are given this little special gold star whenever we're born, like, oh, you're the chosen one, or you're it. We all have this ability. We all have a way to do this. It's not like certain people are designed. I mean, everyone has a different soul purpose, yes, but certain people aren't just designed for those things. But it does take a conscious effort to break out of that. And I think that it's important to have these conversations. And I have actually, after reading this book, I've actually decided that I'm going to go through my messages and put those in print too, because a lot of these things are universal. Some things are personal and you don't want to, air out all your dirty laundry, but a lot of it is universal, and a lot of it I do whenever I channel, I do share with my clients, and it's like, you know what? I can share it with the world too.
Well, that's true. And people, they see what you're told, what you've received, and they think, well, I would like to do that.
Mm.
One quick thing here. Once this first teacher, this spirit teacher, moved aside, said there are others here who wish to make themselves known to you. A second spiritual teacher moved in that same session, and he gave a page and a half message. And I won't read the entire message, but these spirit teachers in these messages, they repeatedly, I'm sure you, as from reading the book, they end a message with a really deep, profound last sentence
Mm.
or a deep, profound last paragraph.
Mm.
And this spirit teacher's last paragraph, may I share this with you and your audience?
Yes, absolutely.
So this was the second teacher that moved in as the first teacher had moved out. And this was the last paragraph of his message. You are not as sheep herded here and there, but you are likened unto the lamb that is cared for individually, nourished and loved until the full and total development allows it to be master of itself. So is man so kept and denied only those things that would not in the long run nourish his spirit. God is all wise and loving in his dispensations. We are not to judge the workings of our Father, nor are we to judge each other. Work always to improve your own beings, for in the end time there lies your soul, with all the nourishment that you have given it, totally dependent upon the outcome of your intentions. And that message was signed, Your Loving Spiritual Teacher.
I love that. Every time I do an Akashic Records reading, I always get like a little message or a paragraph at the end of a reading for the client too. So literally the entire structure of how the information was received is the exact same way that I receive information. It's so incredible. It's so beautiful. And it just lets you know, like, hey, we're talking to the same people. We're speaking to the same beings. Like it's, I don't really have the words. Like, it's incredible. Every time I receive, it's just so incredible.
It feels natural.
Yeah.
It feels natural that this communication is available, and religion will teach you, organized religion will teach you, usually always to receive information from God.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe, the God takes care of a lot of the big stuff, but the spiritual realm is populated with an array of spirit guides, spirit teachers, master teachers. And if you take a look at the index in the Urantia book, the Urantia book is a series of papers that are numbered and titled. And if you go to the index of the book, it lists the author of each paper out to the side in the index. Well, these authors are not people. They're celestial beings, even higher teachers than the spirit guides and spirit teachers that are dealing and speaking with us.
Wow. Well, I can't wait. I'm going to go down such a long rabbit hole. I'm so excited about it.
I can even send you, I have all probably 7 or 8 or 9 pages that I recommend for new readers of the
Mhm.
Urantia book. I'll share that with you
Yeah.
when we get off the air here. When Wilma Jean had been led to sit down in these dedicated sessions, I don't think we've talked about this. Most people know what channeling is, where people will channel a spirit teacher or a guide, and sometimes even their expression will change or their tone of voice, and they will receive a message for someone. And then there are people that do what's called automatic writing,
Mm-hmm.
where they will, again, psychics, mediums will tune in to your spirit teacher, and they will have a tablet and a pen,
Mm-hmm.
and their hand will start to write,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll just start to write a message that's being given. Well, when Wilma Jean was led to sit down in these dedicated sessions, she had set up an electric typewriter in her kitchen. And she would be led, we have a message for you, like you said, that she would light a candle, say a prayer, ask for protection, because you are opening your mind. And she would see 3 or 4 words just float into her mind and hang there. They would not go away until she typed them.
Mm.
Once she typed those 3 or 4 words, they would just fade away, and 3 or 4 more would show up. Full page, single space typed, many times with no paragraphs.
Wow.
So she was taking dictation. This wasn't channeling, this wasn't automatic writing. She was taking dictation. I've never done that. Everything that I've ever received was in thought,
Mhm.
spoken to my mind in thought, not by a voice, but just thoughts that were made known to my mind. And when I was first looking for a publisher, I was on a number of different publisher websites. One of the websites asked questions about your work. One of the questions was, what makes your material unique? Why would anyone want to read this? Great question. And I was sitting where I'm sitting right now at my computer. I didn't really even ask for an answer. I just relaxed my mind. And an answer started to be dictated to my mind. It was 12 lines long. And I just typed it down. When it got to the end, it stopped. May I share this answer with you and your audience?
Yes.
So the excuse me, the question was what makes your material unique? And this is the answer that I was given. The uniqueness of any material is in the manner in which it touches the soul. An open and searching mind pulls the soul and the body in which it inhabits onward and upward with hunger and determination in its quest for spiritual nourishment, ever mindful that the path upon which we walk is the path toward God. Lives lived, experiences endured, goals accomplished, and loved ones lost are all encounters upon that path. Strive always for the highest possible communication with our Heavenly Father. Believe in yourself as the Father within you is guiding, leading, directing, and comforting you upon this journey that we call life. Blessings be upon you as you walk your chosen path.
I love that. So
That was
whenever
not me.
it's so
That was
wild too. It's always because like I say the same thing. I'm like, well, like in anytime someone like compliments an answer or something, I'm just like, that wasn't me. I have no idea where that came from. Like it wasn't me at all. Do
we
you?
know where it came
Well,
from.
yeah.
It's coming from our spirit teachers.
Yeah.
And I could have come up with an answer to that question, but
Mhm.
it would have been nowhere near
Right.
that deep and profound. And when I got to the end after it stopped, I just said, "Thank you, Spirit," out
Mm.
loud. And that was one of my mother's, Wilma Jean's, favorite expressions when she would be given information, told that something happened. Thank you, Spirit.
Mm.
And these spirit teachers, our own spirit teachers, their joy is in our recognition of their existence.
Yes. I love that. I always say thank you. Anytime an ear ringing happens, anytime, you barely miss an accident, anytime anything of the sort happens, I always say thank you. Like gratitude is the hugest, the biggest thing for me. I talk about that in my book 24/7. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. I start my morning with gratitude. I am a huge gratitude person. So when you receive your information, do you notice any physical changes in your body? Like do you get cold or do you feel like a tingling sensation or anything, or is it just like normal?
I have really never felt any physical sensations. It's more just
Mm.
a calmness in not anything that really comes over your body, but it's for me, it's just so familiar and on so, it happens so often.
Right.
It's like I'm in, you get to where you're in constant
Mhm.
communication with your spirit teachers.
Mhm.
Now, that doesn't mean you have to ask before you do anything. You don't have to ask for permission or, well, what should I do here? What should I do there? You drive yourself nuts. We make 100 choices, 100 decisions or more a day.
Mm.
Little ones, big ones, sometimes life changing, sometimes that you think, well, that was a dumb thing to do. I knew better than that. I was told I shouldn't do that. You did it anyhow.
Mhm.
So don't believe that you can't make a move or can't make a decision because that's what we're here for. We're here to be not really judged, but to accelerate our path to oneness. That just came into my mind in the choices and decisions that we make. And the better the choices and decisions, the easier that your life becomes.
Yes.
Now, that doesn't mean that, people still aren't going to have car trouble, problems with family and friends, situations, work issues, but you know that you're not alone.
Mhm.
And the information that you're being given, the guidance and direction, will help you along your way.
Right. And it also just helps you shift your perspective a little bit too instead of just dwelling on, what's going wrong. You're more focused on the positive, which essentially magnetizes more positive and light experiences for you.
That's true.
Alrighty, so before we wrap, is there anything else you would like the audience to know?
Well, I would, if I can, I'll share where my book is available.
Yes, absolutely.
Again, spiritspeaks.com is the website. An Angel Told Me So is the book. And the book is available on in Barnes and Noble system. Any Barnes and Noble store across the country can order it. The book is available on my website. Ingram is my national distributor. If you have a favorite independent bookstore that you like to deal with, they all deal with Ingram, and it's available on Amazon.
I love that.
And one other quick thing,
Yeah.
I we have been told for 2,000 years to believe, to have faith, just believe. And I don't do a whole lot on Facebook, but I came across a post recently, and it said, "I don't want to just believe, I want to know."
Ooh.
And I believe that that is a mindset that a lot of people are coming to. We
Mm-hmm.
have a foundation of faith. We know the story. But again, it's been 2,000 years since Jesus walked the earth. And we are still confined to those teachings with no interpretation seems to be allowed. You can't go any farther than that. And, we're told about heaven as the good place and hell as the bad place. I knew a lady that was extremely religious, brought up Baptist, carried a Bible with her everywhere she went to church on Sundays and Wednesday evenings.
Mm-hmm.
She had a son that was constantly getting into trouble, constantly. From the time he was 14 years old to the time he was 28, the money that they spent on fines and attorneys and bail, I mean, it was just such a hardship on their entire family life. And she knew the spiritual material that I was involved in. And I asked her, and she just knew she was going to heaven, no question. And she knew that hell was real. And I asked her one time, I said, "Is there anything that your son could do, anything at all, that would cause you not to want to give him another chance?" And she just put her head down and said, "No." And I said, "What makes you think God loves us any less? Do you really believe that based upon this blink of an eye existence that we live in these physical bodies, that forever and ever we're going to be sentenced to eternal damnation and
Mm.
punishment with no chance for reprieve, no chance for a do-over because we were stupid,
Mm-hmm.
because we made bad friends, had bad parents, made bad choices and decisions?" So I don't really believe in hell
Mm-hmm.
as a place that we would be sent because I don't think that that would happen.
Right.
And what would you do in heaven? If there's no choices or decisions to be made, if everything is provided, and based upon this short time that we live in these physical bodies, why would we believe that we even deserve, or how could we progress if no decisions were necessary and everything was furnished?
Mm.
So, I mean, people can believe that heaven and hell exist, but I believe that in the continuity of life,
Right.
and that there is no death,
Right.
and that we will continue to look at the people living on the streets of LA and San Francisco, drug addicts. You know, for us, that life would be hell.
Yeah.
That would be hell.
Yeah.
I mean, and all over the world, people living in communist China, North Korea. It's an amazing body of material. And these spirit teachers and these messages and teachings really do speak to us in real time.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Well, thank you, Precious.
I
I
really
enjoyed
enjoyed
meeting
this.
you.
I enjoyed meeting
And
you.
it's amazing the journey that you're on and how close it is and receiving this information that is available to everyone
Mm-hmm.
if they will just have the desire to receive.
Right. Right. And just opening ourselves up is just the first step. The first step is being open. And
That's true.
everything that flows after that is just what was meant to flow after that. But the first step is being open.
That's true.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to stop the recording.